This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow. Also sponsored by GCals, producing aftermarket replacement decals and custom quality graphics for your favorite spaceships. Visit www.gcals.company.site and add some personalization to your sci-fi models today. Also sponsored by Mask Design, boldly going where no masking kit has gone before. Take your model to the next level of detail and accuracy with a masking kit from Mask Design. Visit Mask Design on Facebook or click the ordering link in the notes below the video.
Hey fellow modelers, Will here. Welcome to the Ensign's Chair, and welcome to another episode, finally, of the Ian Lawrence 1350 Enterprise A tribute build. This has been going on way too long. I've got to get this done, so I'm going to try to start focusing on doing some more work on this as I'm also trying to finish up the Reliant. But it's been about a year, I think, since I put out an update for this this build, and I did do some work over the last summer on the shuttle bay. And I'm using the Lake Monster Details Enterprise A shuttle bay from Star Trek V that Cass makes over there. It's a great kit. He did do some other stuff, like I think originally this kit came with just a solid plastic floor, and now he's made it to where it's transparent for easier, so you can light the landing strip, the landing lights under it. And it came out great. And then I added a detail where I made a control room that actually fits in it, and I think I sent that over to Cass. I don't think he's gotten around to making that part to include with the kit yet, but I'll show you what that looks like. I did have a build video for that to show you some of the steps I did to make it, and unfortunately I think I accidentally deleted it when I was clearing out some files from my computer, and I don't have it because I haven't been able to find it anywhere, at least not in the folder that I usually keep my videos in. So if I accidentally saved it somewhere else, I don't know where it's at. But anyway, so I've got the shuttle bay pretty much done. I'll show you some pictures and a short video I took of that, how the landing lights are going to work. And I've got that about ready to go. And this episode I'm going to show you how I did my arboretum. Nothing too crazy with it. I know some people go all out doing their arboretums, but I just don't see the point in going into too much detail. And you're not going to see a whole lot of the arboretum once you put this inside the secondary hull and you've got those window frames to look through. But I did do some detail work that you're going to notice the difference compared to the standard kit that you get with the model itself. So I did add some photo etch. I did add some hobby grass and sand and some little trees. So you'll see it here in a little bit. We'll go over that. But I'm trying to get these done because once I've got these done, I've got the secondary hull just about ready to go. And it just needs to have some more paint done to it. I got to do a little sanding right here. But I've got this ready for the shuttle bay and the arboretum to go into. Once I get those in, I can seal this up. I can attach the pylons when I do that. And I can also get the neck attached. And once I've got those things all attached, I can do a full paint, putty, whatever I need to putty, and do the detail painting. And this will be ready to go to receive the saucer. and the nacelles once I get those done. I haven't done those yet. We got to talk about those in a later episode. But I've got this just about ready to go. I've got that one piece on the bottom here that you do have to attach, light blocked. It's a clear part. I light block it. This is the Enterprise A, so this is going to blink along with the navigation lights. In Star Trek The Motion Picture, this was a steady on, but starting with Star Trek 2, this was a blinking light with the navigational lights. So, except for the dry dock sequence at the start of the Star Trek 2, but that was because that was recycled footage from the motion pictures dry dock sequence. So, just in case you want to say, oh well, I looked and it doesn't blink. It is steady on for that part, but later on when you're watching the Mutara Nebula, it blinks. So anyway, that's my little rant on that. But so I've got that ready to go. Once I get that, I can actually start making some progress, doing some final painting on this. I've got some work still to do on the saucer. I made some boo-boos with that. I left some of the masks on and I didn't touch it for months. And of course, you know, the longer you leave an adhesive on, the stronger the bond gets. And I've pretty much got to redo some stuff around the rim of the saucer on that, but not as much as if I hadn't done anything at all. So it's just about there. But so anyway, I know you're here for the models. I don't want to keep running my mouth, so give me a minute. I'll put you on the bench. We'll get to work. All right, guys. So I had done a build video of the shuttle bay, and this is the shuttle bay from Cass over at Lake Monster Details. And at some point during my move, I either accidentally deleted those files when I was deleting other stuff, or they just disappeared for some reason. I don't know. Or I'm just not remembering where I saved them to correctly, but I'm pretty sure I'm looking in the right spot. So I'm just going to do a quick recap on what I did with this. But you can see it's all together. And I'm going to show some video that I had taken before, because I don't want to have to wire this. This is going to run off of my Arduino Nano. I had it running off of a tiny AT Tiny chip, but I just had too many problems with it. It was skipping lights for some reason, for no reason. It would run other times it would just start skipping lights randomly, and even though the connections were good. So I just did away with that, and I'm running it off a Arduino Nano, and it runs great with it. So I'm going to show some video of that. But it turned out real nice with the stuff, the parts from Cass. And originally Cass had done this floor in a solid. And last Wonderfest, I think it was, we talked about it, and I had asked if he could do this in a clear. And he did some other stuff to it too to make it to where, and I've got this all covered over because I don't want anything to get messed up with the light connections. But he took out the support and redid it and all that to make it work. And he just did a lot of work to get this to come out great. And the decal itself lines up perfectly with the openings in the floor. So all it did was mask off these two openings with, I think it was a piece of 2mm Tamiya masking tape for each one. And then I light blocked it. And then I pulled the tape. No, I'm sorry. Let me back up. I light blocked it with black. I came back over it with white, and then I removed these two, the masking off these two strips, and I was able to put the decal over it. And as you can see in that video, it lights up really nice. I also did some work to the back here where I made a control room. This didn't originally come with it. I think I sent this to Cass for him to include now with his part. But I made a control room window. And I had to open this up, of course, because this part is originally either like a, it lets light shine through it, but you can't really see through the windows. And then translucent, I guess is the term I'm looking for. So these windows wouldn't be really clear. You wouldn't be able to see anything through them. So I opened these up, and you can see the piece of acetate, I guess it is, that I put in there to allow you to see through it. And I'll show you a picture of what this looks like lit up. But I tried to model as best I could over from what we see in Star Trek 5. And it turned out real nice. I like the way it lights up. And I've also got these walls on the side. He's got this to where this is, you're able to shine light through this as well. And I've got that painted blue. I've got it, well, actually not painted blue. I used a piece of blue film gel to cover that with. And then I've got these windows opened up as well. So you can see those are open up, so they'll light up. So once I put the roof piece in place, and that's pretty much the view you'll get of it. And I did all the inside as well. I did it all, and it's kind of hard to tell from this, but I did all the inside with by hand painting it using model paints, and that just did the inside. I didn't want to use the decals if I could get away with painting it, so that's what I did. I went ahead and painted the whole thing, masked it off, painted it myself, including the if I can get it to show up in here again. It was showing up good a minute ago, but I guess I can't get it right in the light. Well, I can't get the line up right, but there's like an orange and yellow panel on each side. I did that by hand as well. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. It turned out real nice. This fits perfectly. You may have to do a little sanding on the bottom here to get it fit just right. But I'm glad that Cass has this made to where it curves to where it'll kind of wedge up in there. I did have to remove just a little bit of material, but that wasn't a big deal. It was just a little sanding that I did there to get that to fit snugly in place so that it would slide all the way up into the back of the tail fan here. So I'll get that installed after I get done with working on the secondary hull. I still got a bit of work to do on that. But real happy with the way that's turned out. I did do the shuttles up. I'm still doing some work on them. But I've got those done up. I got to decal them yet. So I've got one there that's going to face out. And then this one here, which I am going to, I may possibly put a small SMD in the back there to light it up. But that's going to be open like you see it in Star Trek V and face out. So it even fits all the way down into that opening back there. So, but that's what I've done with that. I'm real happy with the way that's turned out. It should light up real nice once I get it put in the model and all the lighting set up on that. So I've got that part done. That's ready to go. And I'm sorry I don't have a more in-depth video on it. I did one, and it's just for some reason I don't know if I found it. If I find it later on in the build, if it turns up somewhere, I'll insert it so you can see a more thorough show. But that's right now. I don't think I've got it anymore. I think I either accidentally deleted it or something else has happened to it. But so what I'm working on right now, I did have this Arboretum 3D printed part, but I decided to go ahead and go with the original kit version because I've got some nice photo etch to use with this, some different photo etch parts. So I'm going to use some photo etch on this, and I've also got some hobby grass, artificial grass, and some dirt, and also some trees that I painted up here. And I'm going to do that to add a little more detail. I'm not going to go crazy on this. I've seen some people do these up and they really go into detail with it, but I'm not too worried about it because really you're just going to see this little sliver through here. So a lot of the work that people do on these you'll never see. And I'm just not the person that wants to do a whole lot of detail work and then just for it not to be seen. But I did want to do a little more to this than what the typical kit has. So I have some aftermarket stuff to add to it. I did go in and remove a lot of these cone-shaped, I guess these are supposed to be trees. I just don't like them. So what I did was I removed a lot of them. I left the smaller ones and just painted them kind of like they're rock art or something like that, art that garden art, yard art, whatever they call it. So I painted them a couple different colors, just to give it a little something else. And then I still got to put the trees in here. I got to finish all this detail, and you can see the grass I'm putting in there, and it kind of looks one-dimensional here. But if you see it in person and you look at it, you can see that it looks kind of tufted when you look at it because I'm using this stuff here, this kind of powdery grass. And it's real easy to use this stuff the way I've been doing it, and people have different ways of doing this, but I'm using craft glue because not craft glue, but the my little cheap bottle of school glue, because it will dry very slowly. It won't dry real quick, and I want a little bit more time working with it. And it cleans up real easy if I make a mistake. So what I've been doing is just taking a brush and just kind of brushing this on the raised area. And like I said, some people may have other ways of doing this. This is just the way I'm doing it. Just seemed like the the easiest way as far as I could think of at the moment. But just going to get this brushed on here. Oops, sorry, got my head in the camera. It doesn't have to be perfect, because after this, if I've got any edges, I probably should have maybe should have painted this like a brown or something, so that any areas I miss won't look white. But that's all right, because I got to come over this yet with the brown gravel looking stuff as well. But once I get a thin coat of this on here, and it's just a cheap brush I can throw away, what I would do is, let me put the top back on this glue so it doesn't dry out on me. And take a little piece of paper and put it under this, so that when I put this on there, I can easily just dump it back in this bag when I'm done. I'm going to take this stuff here, and get this bag to open up. I'm just going to dump it on here. And like I said, you can use a lot of it on here if you want. You don't have to be worried about using too much, because you're just going to dump it all off of here anyway. But I like to tamp it down a little bit to help set it into the glue. And then just dump it over. And you can see it's on there. It's got a couple spots that I may have to do like a second pass on it. Sometimes it takes a couple passes to get enough grass on there to where the white's not showing through real bad. You might still end up with some spots that are bald, kind of like my head, and that's okay, because when you look at this from an angle, and that's coverage isn't bad there. I got a couple of spots if I need to. I can go back in with some more glue, and if I get a little bit of the green on my brush, it's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Just add a little more glue on there. All right, let's do one more pass with this. Alright, and then once I'm happy with the coverage on here, I'll just come in with a clean brush and kind of clean up around the edges where some of it is overlapping. And like I said, if you remove a little bit too much around the edge, that's alright, because I got to come in with this this second pass yet with the dirt. And the dirt's got to go in here, and that's going to cover some of this stuff up that fell off the edges anyway. But there we go. So if it's a focus, I'm trying to use my autofocus again, because I got tired of grabbing the focus every time. But this is why I do the manual focus, because I can never get this thing to focus properly. But anyway, you get the idea. This is pretty much the easiest way I've thought of to do this, and someone may have a better way of doing it, but it's worked pretty well for me so far. So I'm going to keep working on this. I'm basically going to do all the grass, let this dry good, because when I go to do the dirt, the brown here, I don't want that sticking to the grass, because the glue hasn't dried all the way. So I want to let all this dry completely, and then I'll come over with some more glue in the depressed area where it's supposed to be the trail, and put the dirt in and do the same thing I'm doing here, which is basically dump it on, dump off the excess, blow it off, and then use my my clean brush if I have to come in and kind of clean it up a little bit. So that's what I'm going to work on, and we'll come back and take a look at the finished product. Alright guys, so I did go ahead and just hook up this shuttle base so you can see what my plans are as far as the layout of how I'm going to have the shuttlecraft in there, and how the landing lights are working. And so that's pretty much how this is going to be set up. I've still got to put the decals on the shuttles. I've got to put the ceiling on and seal that up, and I've got a couple things I got to touch up real quick, and that'll be all done and ready to go. And then I've just about got the arboretum done, and you can see how that turned out in there. I got the water. Didn't go too crazy on it, but I do like having the more, I guess, realistic looking trees versus the plastic ones. I'll probably do some accent painting on the walls. I haven't glued those in yet, but I think I'm gonna do a little bit of accent painting to kind of set off some of the details a little bit instead of just doing it all in white. But you see I painted that one, what I think was supposed to be a bush, silver, so it looks more like some type of artwork. And there's a gold one back there you can see. And actually that silver one is painted in a color shift. And I don't know, let me see if I can focus a little bit with it closer in. I don't know if you'll actually be able to make out the color shift in it. But it's silver and it color shifts a little bit to purple. And I don't know if the camera's picking any of that up. It looks like it might be picking up a little bit of it, but it's kind of hard to tell with all the light. So I've got my benches, a couple benches in there, and the footpaths are all done. So that looks good. I got to do the ceiling on it, of course, and I've got to make some masks for that. Or I could just use tape and cut tape up to mask off the different spots. These lights here need to shine through, and then you've got a decal that goes over this outer edge with some bluish, some blue background and clouds, some blue sky. So I've got to get that done, and that'll be ready to go inside. So once I get both of these ready, they can go inside the hull, which I've been working on, and I've actually been working on this for a while. I've had this completed to this point for quite a while. I've got the Mass Design masking set. Comes with masks to cover over these parts back here, so I've got to mask that off. Let me see if I can focus a little bit right here. Mask that off and then paint the rest of this white, but I want to wait until I get this done to the point that I'm ready to paint the whole thing. Well, not the whole thing, but I've got to get this done so I can put that shuttle bay in, so I don't have to worry about doing a whole lot of crazy masking around the shuttle bay. Once I get that put in. So I've got to mask these off, paint that white, the rest of this white. You can see I've got that clear part light blocked on the bottom because doing the A, this actually blinks with the nav lights, whereas in the motion picture it was just a steady on. So I've got to put a LED or SMD in there actually. And there's actually a big enough hole. Might be a big enough hole there for an LED, but I think with that shuttle bay, I'm not going to have enough room to put that in there. I'm going to have to use a SMD for that. I'll get that put in. I've got to get my LED strips wired up for inside of the secondary hull here. And then once I can get this all sealed up, we'll be ready to move on. But I do want to talk about one thing on this real quick. And it kind of goes back to one of the last videos, actually I think the very last video Boyd did on his 1350. He was doing another 1350 refit build. I think the last video he did, he talked about the secondary hull. And one of the things he talked about was taking off these tabs. Now I didn't really want to take off the tabs. To me, I just kind of feel like they're there for structural reasons, and they don't really, these tabs themselves don't really cause a problem as far as I can tell. What does cause a problem is on these pylons, when you look at the end of it, and Boyd does talk about this, you've got these tabs here. Let me pull out my pointer. These tabs on the inside here, and as you can see when you try to put this together, this tab, got to focus in a little bit more. You see how that tab is keeping this from closing all the way because it's already making contact here. So it just doesn't close all the way even if you push it down. And even if you did get it to glue like that, it's going to eventually, the pressure against it's going to work its way, and you got a chance that this might crack back open after a while. So he completely took these off, but all I did was I just took my Dremel and just took a little bit off. I didn't take the whole thing off. My Dremel's hung on something. But I just took my Dremel. And you just need to take like a millimeter or two off, not the whole thing. You can take the whole thing off. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just want to try to leave some of this stuff that I feel like they put in for structural reasons. And you can see now, I took that a little bit off, it's just barely making contact, and this closes up all the way. It's not going to pop it back open eventually, but it still offers that support there. So you just got to take like a millimeter or two off of it. It's just the way that it, I don't know if it's the actual shape of the part or just the way that it sits in the mold or what, but it's got just a little too much material on it. But if you take it down, and I might take a little bit more off, but I think this one here needs to have just a tad more off it. That one there looks good, but you can just take this down a couple millimeters. You can just use sandpaper to do it. You don't have to take off a whole lot of material, and then that'll help so that this closes up better. And then besides that, the only other thing I recommend, put this in place. Yep. All right. So once we get that in place, and that fits on there just fine. Let me come back out my focus a little bit here. You see that fits just fine there. There's not a problem with it fitting there. The problem is when you put this top part on, that you have a little bit of a problem sometimes getting it to close all the way, and you end up with a gap there. And that comes from a problem with the tabs on the top part, actually, not the bottom. So what I do on this top part is I just, again, take my Dremel. You can do this again with sandpaper or a file. I take the top of the tab down just a little bit. Again, only about 1 or 2 millimeters. And then I cut an angle into it. And that angle almost works kind of like a shoehorn. When you try to put this part in place, this top part in place, it works kind of like a shoehorn. It gives it kind of an angle instead of a flat part that's going to catch on it, it'll just slide right into place. As soon as I can get this in here, I got to get the part in place first. This cross support in, and there we go. And you see that'll fill up, that'll fit right in there. You have a little bit of a gap you'll have to putty here, but not a big one. But it fits right into place. It doesn't give you as much of a fight as it does if you don't make that little bit of adjustment on the part. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, you can take the tabs completely off if you want to. I just didn't really want to do that. And then have to depend on a whole bunch of epoxy to hold the part in place. But that's my 2 cents on that anyway. So I've got a couple things to finish up here to get touch up, and then I think what we'll do is I'm going to keep these episodes short. It's been a while since I put one out on the refit, and I just wanted to get something out on it to show you where I'm at. And I am actually making progress on it. So I'll try to get more of these out more often now, since I'm actually getting some work done on it. I have still got to go back and make some adjustments on the saucer. You can see that that observation lounge in the front there from Star Trek V, and I've still got to go around. And I did make a big boo-boo, which was I left some of these window masks on, and they are very difficult to get off if you leave them on for an extended period of time. So I'm going to have to do some work to get those off, and then I'm probably going to have to strip that back down and redo it. So that's going to take me a little bit to do. But just a little bit of an update. I just want to get something out so you can see that I am back to work on the Ian Lawrence tribute build, and hopefully we can get this put together over the next couple months. I should have the Reliant hopefully done not too much longer. And I want to kind of get this refit moving again, or the A moving again. So, but anyway, thank you all the new subscribers. I appreciate everybody that's signing up. Make sure you check out my sponsors. All of my sponsors are always listed at the bottom in the notes section for these videos. And just as always, give a shout out to Cass over at Lake Monster Details, Gus over at GCals, Paul over at Paragraphics and Gary over at Mass Design. And I'm using a little bit of everything from everybody, a little bit of stuff from everybody on this build. So, but again, thank everybody for watching. Till next time, keep modeling.